Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a 2021 comparison between the iPhone SE2, which is on the left, and the iPhone 8 that is on the right. Now, as most of you know, these two phones are very similar in so many different ways, but they're also very different in so many same ways, which is so crazy. If you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely say they have the same exact thing going on. Same display, 4.7 inches, same almost above 720p kind of thing. Very big bezels on the top and bottom, home button with Touch ID 2, and they have pretty much the same front. Apple didn't want to take the time to change the front of it, which I don't blame them, so it's almost the same exact thing that we have on the front of them. On the bottom, lightning ports, no headphone jacks at all. The thinness and thickness is exactly the same on both, so there is not a difference when it comes down to it. If you want a thinner phone, these phones are so thin already. It's like crazy how thin these phones are. And on the back, glass backs on both. The white one is the SE2, the black one is the iPhone 8. And you can see that the Apple logo is centered and pretty much centered in the whole entire phone of this one. With the iPhone 8, it's up top. And they feel and perform almost exactly the same way on the outside. They both have wireless charging and they're almost identically the same there. So in terms of the outside, you're not going to be upgrading either one of these phones or getting one over the other just based off the feeling of the phone because they're almost exactly the same. But one of the biggest differences, and I think the biggest difference why I would upgrade from an iPhone 8 to an iPhone SE2 would have to be probably the performance, but also the software updates. The iPhone 8, it's going to be lasting for a long time too. It's probably going to end off around iOS 16. I think it's going to be roughly around there, probably not exactly iOS 16, maybe like 17 or something, but in that area, definitely not 15. So it's going to at least be, lasting you for like 2 years from now, which I think is great. And that's a very important thing. You want a phone that's going to last you for as long as possible. And the iPhone 8 still is going to be getting there, but because the iPhone SE2 has a much newer chipset, you're getting that A13 here where you're getting the A11 here, this one's going to be lasting for at least like another couple more years on top of the iPhone 8. And if you can pick one of these up for a cheaper value or like for not that much money, then I think it's worthwhile, in my opinion, for me to recommend people to go and buy an iPhone 8 over an iPhone, or buy an iPhone SE2 over an iPhone 8, in my opinion. So that's a pretty major thing in and of itself, but that doesn't mean you can't go buy an iPhone 8 or still use it. I think the iPhone 8 is still a great phone, but the iPhone SE2 there is a no-brainer. But a similarity between these two is the battery life. They have exactly the same size battery within them, and I've actually found that I do think the iPhone 8 may actually have better battery life in some areas, even though it's older, depending on the condition of this phone and everything. It may actually get you better battery life over the iPhone SE2. So that was another kind of interesting thing that I saw. But I think between these two, the iPhone SE2 is the far better one there for sure. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both of these phones. The iPhone 8 has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 2 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone SE2 has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both of these. Okay, now that we're back, iPhone SE2 is on the left, iPhone 8 is on the right. Clearing out of the apps, let's go and get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And iPhone SE2 actually was faster there. Messages and music, 3. Let's do App Store, 3, 2, 1. And again, the iPhone SE2 far faster. The iPhone 8 was definitely a bit behind there. Scrolling through, you guys can see that the iPhone SE2 by far is going to be the faster one there. Let's do clock, 3, 2, 1. Again, iPhone SE2 I think was the smoother one there. And as always, I have a bunch of these third-party apps that we can go and get into. Let's do Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. And there may be some app install update errors or something like that, so we'll just kind of see it as we go. But even here, the SE2 kind of seemed to be a little bit faster. And there we go. iPhone SE2, I think, was the faster one there just by a little bit. Let's go ahead and do Thank You, 3, 2, 1. For some reason, it did not open here, so I guess I'll load that in the background for the RAM management. Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And for some reason, the iPhone 8 just doesn't want to register these touches, which is so crazy. Let's do Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. About the same on both. Hopping out of there, let's go and do Instagram, 3, 2, 1. And iPhone SE2 I think was the faster one there. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. iPhone SE2 was faster. iPhone 8 a little bit behind. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. iPhone SE2 again was the faster one. iPhone 8 a little bit behind. Stack, 3, 2, 1. And again, the iPhone SE2 was the faster one there, and the iPhone 8 was a bit behind there again. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go and do the next one, which is Netflix, 3, 2, 1. And there you go, iPhone SE2 was faster, and the iPhone 8 a bit behind. That one took a bit of time on the iPhone 8, which is pretty surprising to me. Let's go and do Dropbox, Let's do Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. For some reason, Dropbox is in here. SE2 again is a faster one. Hopping out of this one, let's go ahead and do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now, two different versions of Temple Run, but from what I've seen, it's been almost exactly the same thing. There's very little change in terms of the downloads or whatever, like even this one getting stuck here. Not really too sure why that happened. And you can see the SE2 was just miles ahead of the iPhone 8. I mean, this was like not even that intensive of a game, but it's still very interesting to see what the differences are between these. And there we go, we finally get into it. So definitely when it comes down to it, the iPhone SE2 is the faster one for sure. The iPhone 8 I still think is a pretty decent performing phone, but I mean, if you have the opportunity to, it doesn't make any sense why you would pick an iPhone 8 over an SE2. This device is definitely the far faster one when it comes down to it. So in terms of performance, that pretty much covers it up. Now let's go and hit on the cameras really quickly. Now they have pretty much the same exact cameras on the back, 12 megapixel wide angle lenses, and they have pretty much the same front cameras as well. Between both the iPhone 8 and the iPhone SE2, I never really found a difference. I did a full camera comparison between these phones as well, and they had the same type of capability, 4K 60 on the back. You can do 4K 60 on the iPhone 8, but you can also do 4K 60 on the iPhone, SE2, which is another big thing. The camera quality is great. No portrait mode on this phone. The iPhone SE2 does have portrait mode, which is a pretty big thing. But I do think the iPhone SE2's camera, as I mentioned before, if you have the opportunity to, using this camera is probably the better thing to do. You're going to be getting better quality photos, better quality videos. Like I mentioned before, you do have that portrait mode capability, which I think is a really awesome thing. And you do have 4K at 60 on this one too. But I think between both, as I mentioned year after year, these cameras, the cameras hold up extremely well over time. I mean, I can't even tell that big of a difference, to be honest. This is one example of a photo. But as I mentioned before, I've done a lot of camera comparisons between these two phones. And I saw that time after time, the iPhone SE2 did a really good job. I think the iPhone 8 still does a great job as well. But the iPhone SE2's camera, I think, is the better one when it comes down to it. So when it comes down to the camera setup, especially now in 2021, I think the iPhone SE2 is a no-brainer, but the iPhone 8 still has a lot of capability for sure. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you go and buy an iPhone SE2 or should you buy an iPhone 8 or keep your iPhone 8 in 2021? Well, this is what I'll pretty much tell you. I think the iPhone 8 is still a great phone. I think it still has, a lot of capability. I don't think it's a perfect phone anymore, but it's still a decent phone in a lot of areas. You have pretty much the same type of build quality on both phones. There isn't a big difference. Just the Apple logo is, slimmed down here a little bit. Other than that, it's pretty much the same phone in the body. You are upgrading just basically based off the performance and the software. Those are the only things you're going for. With the iPhone 8, it may be outdated 2 years from now. With the iPhone SE2, it may be outdated like 4 years from now or 5 years, even longer than that, So you're going to be getting a longer lasting phone from the iPhone SE2, but the iPhone 8 still has a lot of capability. Now with the phone, as I mentioned before, with an iPhone SE2, you have a device that is a very, very good device for sure. Is it perfect? Probably not, but I think for somebody who's going to be using this phone time after time, it is a very good phone. This is a perfect phone for so many people. As I mentioned, it's not perfect, but it does get the job done, and I think for a lot of people out there, it's just like a no-brainer. If I had to use one of these phones, it would have to be an iPhone SE2. I think the iPhone 8, as I mentioned, is still a great phone for a lot of people, but the SE2 is a no-brainer for me. Price per value, I think the iPhone 8 is a better price for value right now because you're getting the same exact body at like less than half the cost of a brand new iPhone SE2, but the performance and the software are one of those things where I would recommend people to pick up an iPhone SE2 over an iPhone 8 any day in my opinion. So that really pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.